My gosh. What an absolutely incredible episode of Tu Bian Yingxiong X. I'll say it. Absolute cinema. Like, half of the episode is just absolute cinema. You have, yes, Lucky Cyan finally shows up. The girl I have been waiting to show up in the show for the longest time has finally made her appearance. She takes the stage, and my gosh, I was massive hype just for that. And then it goes right into this epic battle, and then right towards the later part of it, as it's building up, we get a bunch of gut punches out of nowhere, where it finally says why Yang is so caught up in this whole situation, and it's all about massive regrets, all leading up to this massive explosion, and then a total rug pull with the fact that, yes, Rock was behind it all. Like, it's just again, it hits you, it keeps hitting and hitting and hitting, and the whole while is just insane animation. Like, that whole combat sequence, yes, fully hand-drawn 2D animation. just chef kiss. But gosh, where do I even start though? Where do I even start? I guess I'll just start from the very beginning. Yes, opening up with the whole thing where they're having the funeral. The father's pretty much telling them that they're going to get justice. And yes, Yang goes before him to ask for help. And yes, this is the assumption here is that because this guy had connection with Enlighter, he brought Enlighter back in the picture to continue their kind of research, which as they find out that somebody really high up has made this decision. Like, somebody was pulling strings behind the scenes, and they had to be somebody very high up. And yes, how they designed it, they can easily get away with it because these two guys were the original kidnappers. They set him free, had him do the murder, and yes, in the end, if they get caught, they get scot-free. Rock is completely going to get out of this completely scot-free. So they know that somebody high up is. And this is where my frustration begins, but at the same time, I understand that it's kind of on purpose. And the idea that Yang at this point decides, this has got to be somebody with a lot of power, and I need power. So his decision at this point is, I need to finally take over Isol's name. I need to take that power for myself. I've been building it up. The quickest way for me to gain a lot of strength right now, because I'm going to have to do this solo, I can't rely on the big corporations. I can't rely on the heroes organization. I have to do it myself. So I need power. And again, this is where I kind of is frustrating about this whole thing, is that he decided at this point, I'm going to take down Isol. In the end, he kills him, which that just makes this entire episode like extremely uncomfortably, like, it feels bad. Like, when this episode ended, it felt bad. And again, that's for a reason. Rock completely manipulated him and made him essentially take down a hero that he looked up to so much, all for the sake of getting this revenge. And it's not really for his gain in the end, because it was all manipulated. He's not going to get... That's the frustrating thing. It's like, Xiao the entire time is trying to stop him. I like it. Xiao herself literally called it. When he was doing his training, Xiao called it. She went up there and said, this is probably a part of their plan. They're probably getting you worked up for the sake that you'll do this. This is what they want. You're giving them exactly... Yeah, Rock's over here like, I got a master plan for you if you want to take him down. Hey, Yang, please stop this. I don't want to lose another friend. Hey, I got the ultimate plan. I can do it for you. It feels super bad. Like, this entire episode in the end just feels bad. But yeah, because he wants this power, he calls Isol out. I want to challenge you. And it's funny because in the actual press meeting, they're talking about like, yeah, you lost this guy. Is this hindering you? Are you going to be able to continue to be a hero with this kind of weighing on you? And his response is that I'm just going to have to carry that. I have to carry that for the sake of doing this. But additionally, again, pointing out to everybody, I have to do this myself. This is something I have to do. But yes, he calls out Isol. We see a little brief shot of Isol. He don't care. And this is what makes it even worse. Isol doesn't care. And there was a side of me that was almost like feeling like it might be leaning towards the idea of Isol being behind everything. But again, Isol doesn't care. And again, this is sort of leading it to what I believe why Rock did this. Because Rock should be part of the same organization. He was the one that was leading that whole thing where they were trying to find the Isol person for the anniversary event. He was the one that was behind the scenes that said, no, we don't want him because he doesn't have any trust. They were looking for somebody to do a performance. And so my assumption here is that he was just trying to get rid of Isol. And so this all plays into it. As they're trying to egg Isol on for this whole thing, he doesn't want to do it. But in the end, it's coming down to a factor that you're going to lose anyway. Like, you have to do this. And I think what Rock's whole idea here in the end was to sort of have both of theirs merge and there to be sort of a boost from it. I think this whole thing, I mean, he kind of puts it himself. People are such interesting creatures. I mean, they're so easily manipulated. Once you set the rules, they just play into your hand. They do exactly what you want to do. He orchestrated this whole thing probably for the sake of not only overtaking Isol, but getting a boost from the entire event. But additionally, I think there is an aspect here where Rock wanted to get rid of Isol. And this is kind of shown here in the idea that, yes, everybody's getting sick of Isol. They want this new Isol to take over his position. And additionally, they're also like talk about the fact that he doesn't do anything anymore. Isol is, again, just like everything else they've kind of pulled up so far, they're just faces. They're just faces for action figures and whatnot. They have like people are critiquing like, yeah, this guy took all my money. He doesn't do anything. Like this guy, I wasted all my money on him. Everybody loves Isol, but what does Isol do for the people? It's just like the previous episode. And the idea that, yes, everybody likes him because Yang is actually out there fighting crime. He's doing things. He's with the people. Isol is just on stage. He's in action figures. He's on television. That's all he is. And again, I think Rock, if I'm right here, that he's actually from the same organization, he just wanted to get rid of Isol. He wanted to replace him. This guy's useless. I can't use him. And it could be an aspect because Isol was so much older, he was hard to manipulate. And so he wanted to get rid of him. I could be wrong there. Again, it could be two different organizations. It just feels weird because, again, MG, I think, is what the company was with. He was the one that was pulling in the stage performers, which was what Yang came there for, that competition. Either way, that all kind of leads up to, again, them actually having the training session where Yang is training himself. And again, Xiao, I feel bad for Xiao in this entire episode. This girl was trying so desperately to stop him. I don't want to lose somebody else. I just lost somebody. Please don't go out there and do that. And he just keeps pushing. He doesn't care. Which we find out why that is as they actually build up for the actual fight itself. Everything's building up. Again, we get to see Lucky Cyan. We finally get to see my girl Lucky Cyan. I will admit, way too much auto-tuning. Way too much auto. I hope the later song was less of it. So I think it was just for that song because it was so kind of electronic. Hopefully most of her music's not that way, but I will admit there was quite a bit of electronic auto-tuning that was in her voice, but it was still epic. Like, it was just an epic song to go with this insane battle. Again, just absolute cinema with the animation itself, just the velocity itself that they were kind of portraying the entire scene, his armor just getting shredded off the entire time, Isol just swinging him all over the damn place. It was actually very, very, very well done. Yeah, all leading up to the point where, again, his manager's telling the old Isol, you have to use this ability. And this all leads into what Rock was setting up. The idea of, yes, selling the undercover Rock stuff. It's funny because this guy has like so much money and he's selling all this stuff for advertisement. I'm like, this dude's probably loaded. But no, I guess this, yeah, you don't want a paper trail. So he's selling his actual stuff from his restaurant in order to buy a bunch of advertising to make people believe that he's going to use this ability that drops his defenses. Makes sense there. Pretty clever move there. Again, very, very strategic kind of move that they kind of made there. All leading up to, yes, he's losing, which they were implying before the actual fight that Yang was overtaking him in trust. And it does feel like with that little bit there, like even if the advertisement wasn't like reaching a bunch of people, even if it wasn't swaying a lot of people's minds there, it was probably just enough to put Yang above him, forcing the old Isol, I have to use this ability. There's no other way. Which, yes, leads to him to actually taking him down. But no, this was like the gut punch that I wasn't really expecting within this incredibly, incredibly beautifully portrayed action scene. The moment where Yang essentially reveals why he's so caught up in this. Yes, he lost Shang. That's the obvious thing. Shang was killed because of him. There's obviously going to be a little bit of an upset there. But it's like, why go this far? That's the massive question mark. Why go this far? Well, it's explained the idea that, yes, during that moment leading up to Shang being shot, he was going to go after them, and he could have stopped them. But the thing is that Yang had a brief moment of jealousy. That was the trigger of all this stuff, jealousy. And it's kind of funny because you can almost feel that, yes, everything is sort of orchestrated by Rock. But in actuality, it wasn't really Rock that in the end that was Yang's downfall. In the end, Yang's downfall and what eventually leads to him taking this position was this moment right here. Because he hesitated. Because he could have stopped Rock. He could have stopped Rock's whole plot to take down Shang in order to trigger this whole thing. If Yang was not jealous of Shang and Xiao being together. Because that's what made him stop. Just for a brief moment so that he couldn't get there in time. That's all it took. And it's kind of funny that Yang didn't grab the guy at that point, but again, that's all that aspect of the tunnel vision. Because I made this mistake, I hesitated, now Shang's dead, and he's just grieving over his body or wanting to save his life, the guy got away. But again, all that leads into, yes, his driving force for this whole thing. I will not hesitate again. I have to do this. I have to get revenge for Shang. This is all my fault. I need to stop this person. I need this power. I'm going to take down old Isol. And again, the sucky part and what makes this all feel so nasty is that in the end, after all this stuff, remember back at the very beginning of his story, what was Yang's first opening sequence? Looking up to Isol, who saved his life. Yes, he didn't save his family, but he saved his life, and he's always looked up to him. He's always wanted to be a hero, but here he's killing a hero. In the end, he killed Isol. The indication they have is because the two merged right then, Isol's dead. He killed his hero. That's where it feels really dirty. And it feels like this is the end of his story and we might actually transition to the next character right next episode. It kind of sucks because in the end, I don't like Yang. In the end, and it's all tragedy. I fully understand it. And I think that's the purpose. This was all manipulation by this one guy. He manipulated Yang and destroyed his life around him. It feels dirty that Yang both, yes, allows somebody to die through jealousy, which is a human thing. I don't blame him. It's unfortunate. It's very tragic. But what I don't like is the fact that this has all driven him to literally not only take down Isol, his hero, but kill him in the end. That's the dirty part. That's why in the end, I don't like Yang. I don't like Yang in the end. I really don't like this guy. All in the face of tragedy. Yeah, the other thing that sucked in this entire part is that we do see that Xiao is at the concert. Yeah, go figure. I don't know why. I would figure that one of them would be delayed. Like, why do they have to have this concert happening at the same time as this big epic battle between Isols? All I can think of is they didn't actually happen at the same time. It's just kind of portrayed that way, so you have music in the background. But seeing Xiao there and, yeah, her just breaking down, this is essentially because she lost Yang that day. What did Xiao say back when Yang was training? Please don't do this. I don't want to lose another friend. She was afraid of him dying. And I think there might have been a sign of that. And what does actually happen is that she loses him through the fact that he becomes Isol, this person that distances himself from her. She probably never see him again. That's what sucks. That's what sucks the most. Seeing her crying and Lucky Cyan's singing. And it's like, oh gosh, this feels so nasty. And then, yeah, it cuts right over to Rock. And he's like, people, they play right into my hand. It was all a part of my plot. I have been working as a burger flipper this entire time in order to manipulate Yang, in order to become Isol. I'm assuming this guy was probably just working as a guy in a diner, just as a side gig, just to have fun. But it is kind of one of those elements where you kind of have to suspend your disbelief in the idea this guy has literally been working undercover as a burger flipper and a stand worker just to groom Yang into becoming the next Isol. Whatever. Okay, sure. All right, gotcha. Anyways, yeah, it feels bad. In the end, the way this episode ended, it feels bad. I don't like how any of it really played out. But at the same time, I think it's absolutely genius that it makes me feel that way. That's the whole point. I'm not saying this as a critique to the writing. I'm saying this as a praise to the writing. The fact that I feel this upset about how this played out. How I feel this upset about how this played out. I mean, even calling back to where Yang and Xiao had that brief little meeting just before he went off to fight Isol. She's like, you always have been a hero. I remember the first day that I met you. You were covered in mud. We find out that you were saving this cat and you slipped in the mud. And then I seen you on stage. Like, is this still what you want? But again, unfortunately, just like every single other hero we've kind of portrayed so far, the trust factor leads them. The trust element is what ends up taking over them. This is what they want. I know what I want. I'm still true to this, but it's not about me anymore. It's about them. This is what they want. They want me to do this. Ugh. And it's funny because even in that moment when he's talking to her, it doesn't feel like he's talking about the aspect of Shang. It just feels like he's talking about this is what the people want that have trust in me. They want me to take over this. So there could be an element of that in there as well. I doubt it, but I guess it could be because, again, with Lin Ling, when he was becoming nice, it was an aspect of perfectionist. They wanted him to be a perfectionist. With the idea of firm man, they wanted him to stand tall. So he's always stood tall. That was the curse. Could the curse for Yang in becoming Isol be the curse of being the hero? I don't know. Because with Isol, we never indicated a curse with him. They never really indicated anything with him besides his mysteriousness. So maybe the curse of Isol, the old Isol, was the element of essentially the mysticism. Maybe he always had to keep his helmet on because people didn't want to see his face. That was his cool thing. So thus he could never show his face. Maybe it might turn into a thing now that Yang has become Isol. Maybe he might not be able to take his helmet off anymore. I'd be curious if that is his curse. That would explain why Isol, the old Isol, never got involved with things. And maybe that could be why Rock wanted to replace him. This might be thinking way too deep into this. This could be like too much, Andrew, too much. We're not going right into that deep of these characters. I don't know. I've been surprised by this show before. Definitely this episode surprised me. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Did I miss anything? Oh yeah, I have to admit, yes, I was wrong. I felt like this creator could not commit to killing. So the moment that, yes, Shang ends up actually dead, I was kind of shocked. I have to admit, I've been joking about it for like the last 3 episodes with how many times they faked out Moon, and so I was convinced last episode Shang ain't dead. They can't commit to a character die. It's just a graze in the head. Yes, technically his helmet was covered in blood, but yes, Shang, they committed. They actually committed with the death of a character. So that does make me believe they might actually commit to Moon's death. I did. Okay. It sucks. Anyways, really cool episode. Really love it. Fantastic stuff. My gosh, again, I rewatched that whole entire last like segment, like I think 3 times at this point. Loved it. It was just, again, Cyan. First of all, Cyan's performance. I hope we see more of her. It was like only brief, like what, 2 or 3 shots of her, but it was enough to make me excited. I want my Cyan in the show already. Please give me Cyan's episodes. It was good stuff, but yeah, overall, just incredible episode. Cannot wait for more. Hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know if you liked the episode. Was it absolute cinema? Are you with me? Are you on Team Cyan? If you like this content and you want to support channel more, links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care.